What is going on, guys? Joey here, coming to you live from the car again. Today I just want to talk a little bit about body weight and competing, and just perhaps offering a different perspective. Because we all, obviously if you gain weight, you're probably going to be able to lift a little bit more weight. We'll talk about whether or not that's beneficial. Like, did you actually get better? Talk about formulas a little bit. And then there's going to be a point when you're losing weight where whether you cut X amount of weight, 5 pounds-ish, and you're a smaller lifter, it might not affect your total that much. So we'll kind of get into it. I was talking to a lifter the other day about just body weight and like where they might want to be long term, and some things that came to mind when I was talking to this person was how they would have pretty good training, and then when they would cut weight, they just couldn't really put it together on the platform. Now this person, when that was going on, they were not working with us. They don't work with me now, but they do work with one of the FLEXX coaches now. And basically what we had decided was, well, if you naturally sit at a certain weight, maybe in the higher weight class, and you're consistently cutting down, and you feel like you have your weight cut pretty solid, and you're just seeing a huge drop off in numbers, there could be a number of reasons for that. Obviously, like when you're hitting weights in the gym, you're going to be bigger than you are on the platform. Ideally, you always want to try to get to the same weight you were, if not even a little bit more bloated or bigger somehow. So when you're on the platform, you're a bigger person, and weight moves weight, right? Some people, when they cut, they have to do like a lot, and it just really affects their leverages, and their singlet doesn't fit right, and their knee sleeves don't fit the same, and everything, their belt doesn't fit the same, and everything just feels kind of weird. So, if you're one of those people that you're consistently cutting weight and you're just like not having, even if you're hitting attempts, but your strength is just dropping off so far, it might be worth it for you to consider moving up. We talk about how the weight that you compete at, I'm just going to give credit where credit's due. Alberto Nunez was the first one I've ever heard this from. That the weight that you compete at might not be where you're happy, like just with yourself. And that's something that you have to kind of choose. You have to decide, like, how much weight am I willing to gain in order to be as competitive as I want to be. Another thing too is it has to be something that makes sense. For example, there are some people that when they'll literally gain 10 pounds, but their total won't really go up that much because of their leverage, like where they hold body fat and just kind of how things work. It just doesn't do much for them. Some people, they gain 10 pounds and everything goes up. Like they're basically just as competitive, if not more competitive. Ignore my navigation. They're basically just as competitive moving up a weight class. So it's like, why would you, want to be smaller? One reason could be, again, it really depends, because if you're, that's so annoying, guys. Hold on, let me turn that down. If you move up and you're lifting more weight, but it's not enough to increase your IPF points or your dots or whatever formula that you depending on what competition you're at, different formulas are relevant for different things. That's something that you have to think about. And the same thing goes the opposite way, right? Like you might cut weight and it really affects your total. You might cut weight and it doesn't really affect your total. You might gain weight and it gives you a huge boost. It increases, like you're just better all around. Or you gain weight and you're not really getting that much of a benefit. And on the bench press, for example, when I got up to like 245-ish. There was a big boost to my bench from 231, but then going from 245 to like 255, it didn't really, I mean, I lifted a little bit more, but it didn't help me that much, and I was already doing as much as I could recover from intelligently. And it was just very tough for me to justify gaining any more weight. And I believe everybody kind of has that limit, right? There's going to be a point where, maybe if my arms were built differently, or if I held fat in my arms as opposed to like my midsection, it would create like better leverage, and then you could get a better stretch reflex, kind of like on squat. Obviously, like if you have like the power belly with like thicker thighs, that's going to help you, especially pressing up against your belt, as opposed to maybe you're a lean lifter already and you're cutting down, and you're not really affecting anything that much in that regard. It probably doesn't bother you to cut as much, but everybody's different. These are things that you got to kind of experiment with to find out where you fit best. I think it's a big mistake when young lifters, they sort of stay in a weight class forever and they don't try at least once to go up, and they're consistently going like 4 for 9, 6 for 9, when they could be doing much, much better. So it's just one of those things, and you got to have an open mind, and you have to understand like what you want. If you want to be like kind of strong and look really good, then maybe you're happy with that. If you want to just be as competitive as possible, I mean, shit, that might mean going down a weight class, right? That might mean being really strict on your diet and doing what you have to do to put yourself in a position to succeed. Or maybe you'll need to stay in the same weight class, but you need to go through multiple cycles of bulking and cutting. So everybody's different, and you just have to, you got to try it out. Another thing too that I talked about briefly is if you gain 10 pounds and you PR your total by like 15 pounds, but your DOTS and your IPF points goes down like crazy, like what are we doing? Like, did you actually, it brings a question, like what is strength? Like, did you get stronger? I mean, you lifted more weight, but your formulas got worse. It doesn't matter what formula. You could use Wilks, you could use any formula just to give you a reference. So it's one of those things that you got to kind of figure out. Like, another thing too, like when you guys are looking at people on the internet and they say, 10-pound PR, and they look like they gained some weight, go look them up, look at their database and see like, oh shit, like this guy gained weight and hit what he hit. That way, you guys have a reference. You guys understand, like, oh, okay, like they moved up, they went from a 93 to a 105. That's a big jump, right? And they only put in 10 pounds on their lift from gaining that much weight. Something ain't right. Like, that is actually, I would see that as going backwards. Maybe they don't care about that and they just want to lift the most amount of weight possible. I literally just had to swerve out of the way of a giant 2x4. What the heck is going on? Sorry about that. Maybe they only care about lifting the most weight possible. Like, for example, if you're a super heavyweight, then it's like a little different, right? Because you might be a super heavyweight that needs to fill out their frame, and you can stay big for a much longer time. In some federations, you really don't have, like, if you're like a 370-pound super heavyweight, the only closest weight class for you is 308. And that's only one or two federations, right? Maybe a couple other federations. But, if you're doing the IPF, you got to go all the way down to 120 kg, which is just not, that's a 264 pounds. Is probably not going to happen. So, I just wanted to touch on the body weight thing because a lot of lifters, like, they're not really sure where they should sit. Another important factor is your height. So if you're, 5'11", I mean, shit, there's really good 120 kg lifters that are 5'11", 6 feet. It just really depends. Maybe 105 is good for you. Maybe there's so many things that go into it, and I feel like just trying it out is a really good way to go about it. Obviously, if you have an experienced coach that's dealt with a lot of different weight classes, and different people and stuff like that. They can kind of help you navigate these things. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. You just got to figure out what matters the most to you. What is your goal? Where does your body like to be? And then if you're not there, like, why? Like, is there a good reason for why you're not doing that? I didn't really start having fun, like truly having fun powerlifting, until I moved up and stopped worrying about cutting weight. It's just so much mental energy that's like free when you don't have to be like damn, like, you know, I gotta dedicate like the last 5 days of my prep to making weight, you know, and then you just have all this extra mental energy free that you could enjoy the process with. You can visualize yourself on the platform, you can relax, you can, you know what I mean? So I would encourage you guys to try it. Even if in your off season, maybe you compete just over your weight class, and then when there's like a really important meet, you cut down. I think it's going to benefit you a lot in the long term, just to train at that bigger class. So anyway, thank you guys for making it this far. Just a quick one today. And yeah, see you in the next one. Peace.